Hey everyone, Shoebox Legends, thanks for joining me again today. What you see in front of you is the longest running parallel, to my knowledge, of the flagship Upper Deck hockey release. So these are Upper Deck exclusives, which I've talked about in previous videos. They go back more than 20 years in the Upper Deck flagship hockey set, and they are a parallel that runs the full extent of the base set, serial numbered though to 100, and typically with some kind of foil stamping or other indication that they are an exclusives parallel. I just enjoy picking these up. I think they're a more interesting variation than the typical base card, just because they are a little bit rare or feel somewhat more significant since they're harder to track down and are serial numbered. But they contain the same iconic set design and imagery that we are used to from the base set, obviously being parallel. So I enjoy them. I pick a lot of them up on the cheap when I can find them and when I think of it. I've mentioned that focus is always a struggle for me, but from time to time, it does cross my mind to search eBay or ComC and see what's out there for low-hanging fruit, like the cards you see in front of you. But those are just a backdrop for today's video, which is going to feature two of the better exclusives parallels that I've ever picked up, both of which I've landed in the recent months here, and both of which feature one of my favorite current players and one of the greatest NHL superstars of all time, Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals. So the first of the two that I have to show here is his 2009-10 Upper Deck exclusives parallel. Really like the image on this one. I enjoy the horizontal or landscape layout. I think it's perfect for a card like this that shows, you know, Ovechkin in full slap shot, and it just is a really nice image. The design you will probably recognize if you're a baseball collector from the baseball set that came out the same year, which I believe was their last baseball set when they had somewhat lost their license, but issued one last set just to get something out there. It was not generally loved, if I recall, in the hobby on the baseball side, but just interesting that is the design that you see here. And this, of all years, this is one of the more ornate foil stamps here that indicates that it's an exclusives parallel. You can see in the background, like Joe Thornton's is just this kind of muted bronze border across the bottom. There's a little bit of foil stamping here on the Shea Weber that indicates it's an exclusives. Chris Pronger is similar, so you may not see it in the light, to the Ovechkin here, where it does have sort of that foil cursive ornate thing going on. I think the reason for that is they've sort of embraced that in the early days and they've moved away from that throughout the years. So this Pronger card here is from a year or two before this Ovechkin, and then these were issued much later. But just, yeah, really stands out. I just think it's a striking card. I think these are worth having in a collection if you enjoy Ovechkin or you believe that he's one of the greatest players of all time, because they're already scarce and a little bit tough to come by. And I just think that over the next few years, as he winds down and we figure out where his counting stats end up, and then eventually, you know, his retirement and then his enshrinement, I expect more and more folks to get on the Ovechkin bandwagon, especially if the industry as a whole, collecting, keeps going the way that things have been going. And so I'm basically making an effort to try to snatch up some rarer Ovechkin parallels now while they're, you know, still around and available on eBay, quite frankly. And in some cases for what I think are pretty amazing prices as well. So on that note, here's the other card that I have to show today. Another Ovechkin exclusives parallel from 2017-18 in this case. I love this one for a few reasons. I think it matches nicely with the one on the left here that came out, you know, 7 or so years earlier. A couple of nice horizontal images there that really pair well together. I love the photograph on this one, as I did with the first one that we looked at. I just think it's cool. This is obviously during pregame warm-ups, and you have some youth hockey players here holding the Capitals flags as Ovechkin skates through. So it's something you don't see every day, the type of photography that I appreciate. I enjoy something a little bit different than this versus the run-of-the-mill posed skating shots like you see on so many Upper Deck cards in recent years. So I like that as well. I don't put a premium on this, but I do think it's sort of cool. This is the last of the 100 cards to come off the production line, 100 of 100. Some people, call those gimmicky, eBay one-of-ones, or, I don't really think that's anything that I would pay a premium for. But when I saw the card and I was interested in purchasing it anyway, it did kind of add a small element of coolness to it. The third reason that I enjoy this one is that this is the year that Ovechkin finally got the monkey off his back and won his Stanley Cup. So for the longest time in the Crosby versus Ovechkin debate, one of the knocks on Ovechkin is that, sure, he's one of the greatest snipers of all time, but he's not as strong a two-way player. And because of that, his team doesn't succeed the way Crosby's teams do. And, Crosby had racked up, I believe, 3 cups by this point. And, according to the story, that type of criticism motivated Ovechkin, and he sort of took his training and workout regimen to a new level in the offseason and came back and was absolutely a beast in the season that this card was issued. And again, that resulted in a Stanley Cup, which is really the only other thing that was missing from his resume at that time. And I think silenced a lot of his critics and gave him a lot more merit in the Crosby versus Ovechkin debate. And then the final thing that I like about this item, and I don't say this to brag, I just say this to point out that, there are so many ways that you can still have fun in this hobby without spending a lot of money. I know I sound like a broken record and I keep repeating it on almost every video, but nobody is priced out of this hobby. If you have $20 a month to spend on trading cards, I will send you some links and you'll have an absolute blast. And on that note, this card, number 100 of 100 from his Stanley Cup winning season, cost me less than $10. And I know the hockey card market is not what the baseball card market is, and certainly not what the basketball card market is over the last 12 months. But you cannot convince me that this was not an absolute steal and a card that, in addition to just being awesome to look at, that I will enjoy for many years to come, is almost guaranteed to appreciate in value. So, for all those reasons, I love this purchase. I love the other one here that I was able to pair with it. Someday, I would aspire to have a copy of each one of Ovechkin's exclusive parallels from his career run. That would be amazing. I can certainly never afford his Young Guns rookie exclusives if I ever even saw one. I am 100% priced out of that card and will be for the rest of my life, unless I win the lottery. But I would love to chase any other remaining years that I don't already have with these two. And so I'll be keeping an eye out for those. So we'll wrap it up here. We're just about hitting 8 minutes or so in length, but certainly appreciate you stopping by, spending a few minutes to enjoy some of my favorite hockey parallels. And we'll be back soon with more content. Take care.